Hello, hi, happy
Hello.
Wednesday. We are back. Hang on a minute, let me just pop this down a little bit. We're a bit far away. There we go. Nice to see you all. Lots of space above our heads. Lovely to see you. We were away last week, so we missed you last Wednesday. You were playing golf, weren't you, last Wednesday around this time?
Yes.
Yes. So we hope you're all well. This week we're here. Oh, hi Lorraine. This week we're here and we're talking all about inflammation. So the reason we wanted to pop on today and talk about this is that there's a new white paper just been published. So that's a kind of research paper that goes through lots of different research papers. So it kind of condenses it all. And it's really, since the advent of COVID, there's been a lot more research done on inflammation in the body. So why is it that COVID affects people differently? And what are those underlying conditions that can really make COVID so much worse for you? One of the things seems to be coming out is underlying inflammation. And inflammation is to do with when your body fights infection, there will be some inflammation. Your body kicks in to fight the infection, but sometimes it kind of hangs around. The inflammation hangs around. And that seems to be one of the things that can be a predeterminant, not just of getting COVID and getting worst case of COVID, but also other long-term health conditions. So it's not a good thing to be having inflammation hanging around in your body. And the trouble is, we don't necessarily know that we have it, or we might just think the things that we have are just like, well, that's just my body playing up a little bit. But actually, if we listen to our bodies, they can really tell us a lot about our health, and we can do stuff about it. So that's just about right, isn't it, Chris? Do you think I've just about summed it up? Thank you very much.
Well, that's good.
So, so Chris is going to take the lead very much today because he's the one that's kind of dissected the white paper a bit more. My job here is to make sure that Chris isn't getting too scientific and that we can all understand it for our benefit. But the main takeaway in all of this is that it's sedentary, inactive behaviour, and also adipose fat. So the fat that you store in your body is one of the things that creates much more inflammation and inflammatory markers in your body. So it's something that we can't just write off as being okay. But that said, there's so much stuff that you can do about it. And actually the research coming out about activity and quite specific science on the activity that you need to do to manage this inflammation is really useful for us as fitness professionals and for you, because we can share that with you. We can obviously make this easier for you. You don't have to go away and read the white paper because we've done it and we bring it into our classes. But there was something else I was about to say. I've forgotten what it was. Oh yes, but the other thing we want to come away with today is the things that you can do now. So it's not, I think people sometimes think, oh, I roll, what have I got to do now for like weeks and weeks and months and years and years. There is some stuff that you can do now to really start to make a difference. So I'm going to just hand over to Chris. If any questions as we rattle through this, please pop them and then we will do our best to answer.
I think the thing is that it's not the most glamorous topic to talk about, and I know people will say, oh, why are these two sounding like doctors? But the thing is, it's not, we're not trying to give you information which isn't actually out there. It's that we're trying to be the conduit for the information that gets sent to us, because we need to understand what the benefits of exercise and movement and healthy lifestyles actually are, so we can then not only use them but sell them to people as well.
Because I mean, if you know us, you know we're not, we wouldn't sit on our Instagram or on our messages and show you a message or show you a video. I'm struggling with my words today. Show you a video, a demonstration on how to get a six pack. It's not our style. Plenty of trainers out there that can do that for you if that's what you want. And if that's what you want, then, we're not that. But what we will do is find the information for making sure that we can pass on to you and help you to be as healthy as you can be for as long as possible. That's what we're about.
So as Karen said earlier, that inflammation, particularly low-grade inflammation, it accounts for more than 50% of all deaths across the world. So we've got to think about more than what's going on now than COVID, even though it's difficult because it's in the news, it's everywhere. We're now in a sort of a mid to post-COVID era. We're not fully post, but it's just we need to think about what on earth has happened to our bodies over the last 18 months and prior to that as to what has made COVID worse for some people than others.
and that was the other thing, and that because of lockdowns, a lot of people are more sedentary, aren't they, than they were before. So it's almost like we've made...
Yeah, paramedics have reported an increase. They're busier than normal, and they were questioning whether or not it was because people were have delayed calling for medical assistance or going to hospitals, and actually it's people who are less healthy than they were. For preventable and treatable illness and disease, they've gone up because people are less healthy. So the message was stay inside, get unhealthy and get ill, but maybe not get COVID until you go out and mingle and eat out to help out, and then you get ill and hide away again. So it's a mixed messages coming out. As you can tell by the tone, we were a little bit disappointed that the health wasn't promoted. Now it's clear evidence that we know about this. It's quite frustrating from our point of view because this isn't new information. You know, as soon as we heard that people were told to stay inside and not go outside and even exercise or for an hour a day, that is ludicrous. That is absolutely ludicrous.
When you know that obesity is one of the things that can make COVID so much worse, we seem to be so scared in media and we shy away from that information for fear of backlash. But actually, it's not just obesity, it's inactivity. We know that, that is really common knowledge. And some of this stuff about inflammation is well known as well. It's just the fact that now it's been all pulled together. So, annoyed and irritated that hasn't been shared wider. Because actually, if it were only 2 weeks that we were in lockdown, fine. But we're still here a year and a half later. And a year and a half is a very long time to have changed your habits.
So at the end of the day, I think what we should take away from this is that you can't trust the government to help you with your health at all. Whether it's food pyramids, whether it's stay at home and save the NHS, which we won't anyway because we're going to be burdening them for the next 10, 15, 20 years because we haven't tackled the lifestyle issue. But I want to come back to why inflammation is such an issue and also an issue for COVID as well. And inflammation has been linked to many different illnesses and diseases, from Alzheimer's, heart disease, strokes, cancers, you name that. As Karen mentioned earlier, inflammation is the initial short-term response to I'll call it stress of some sort. Because stress doesn't necessarily need to be a bug or an infection. It could be exercise as well. So exercise can actually help, and a lot of short-term inflammation is beneficial to your body because that's what the response is created, that's what it does. But if this hangs around, as Karen mentioned earlier, you get these pro-inflammatory markers circulating around your body, cause damage to other parts of your body as well. So that's the important thing to know about. Now, underlying conditions was a big talking point over the last 15 months about, if you have underlying condition, you may be more at risk of COVID. And what that actually means in our eyes, and what Sweatpaper's saying is anyone with long-term low-grade inflammation. And visibly you might see that in somebody, so someone who's obese, someone who's smoking, someone who's less healthy, but you may not see that in some people. So for example, there are some studies coming out, research that has been done, and quite a lot of elite level athletes and mixed martial artists have been getting COVID really badly. And you often hear people saying, it gets the fit people too. I mean, that person's fit. You've got no idea how fit that person is. One person said to me, he runs marathons every day. That's not someone who's fit. That's someone who's fit for their health. That's someone who's fit for their job or fit for their event. But someone who runs, let's say, longer than 20 minutes to half an hour a day is probably doing more than the necessary amount to keep themselves healthy, and they're creating low-grade inflammation as well.
So what were the other sort of, you mentioned about the obvious inflammatory markers. What might someone walking around with inflammation feel or notice in their body that might be an indicator that they have it?
Indicators would be high blood pressure, so you want to keep an eye on that, because we often think and thought that low density lipoproteins, LDL, bad cholesterol, is what increases your risk of heart attack and strokes. And that's only part of the picture. So when you have bad cholesterol in your diet and your body, some of that absorbs into the walls of the arteries, but then it creates a blister based on your body's inflammatory response to that. And what your body then does on top of that is it restricts blood flow to your heart, because it doesn't want to force blood through a smaller area. And then if that blister comes off, then that can create clots and strokes and heart disease.
And the other thing, sorry to interrupt you, but I was reading in the white paper, which I thought was really interesting, and it's one of the things I shared actually on the post, was that, now I need to get this right, higher levels of adipose fat fat is adipose tissue, create these chemicals which aren't good for the blood vessels around the heart, basically. So that would add to the risks of heart disease. And they are made better by exercise. Exercise is the thing that kind of flushes those things out, but fat is one of the things that pushes those chemicals out into the bloodstream.
There is and you had an altercation with someone on Twitter, which is not really the best, medium to get an exchange of the right kind of people. People can be easily triggered on there, and they very rarely say, "Oh, hang on, I've not been looking at this from your perspective." It was a fat and fit thing that was going around, and this is partly true. If people are conducting aerobic exercise and eating healthily, your weight is almost irrelevant in one sense, as long as you're exercising. Because some of the studies have shown that people who even were overweight and exercised regularly and were eating healthily had lower levels of these pro-inflammatory markers, and that's what they're trying to reduce. However, the overwhelming number of people who were obese and overweight had elevated levels of these pro-inflammatory markers. So I'm sorry to burst that bubble that people think that you can be fit, or fat and healthy, or fat and fit. You can and you can't. A version of yourself carrying less body fat will no doubt be healthier.
Yeah, it's not a judgment, as always.
I am not talking about comparing you with someone like me or Karen or somebody else. It is not what this is about, and that's not the way we operate. What we're talking about is to make you a healthier version of yourself. If you're carrying excess body fat, if you lost 3 or 4 pounds, it will not make you less healthy. You'd be more healthy. And not from I can fit a dress better. We're talking about these pro-inflammatory markers. So by dint of eating better, which we talk about a lot in our book about resetting your diet, just rather than cutting calories out, just upgrade it and become healthier. By moving around more, you will naturally be eating less calories, losing some body fat that you don't need, and your body will be in a healthier state because you're doing all the things that are going to help to reduce these inflammatory markers in the body. And that's a better place to be at. But please don't interpret this that we're saying to people, you must drop down and be really slim, or you must be, a size 8, 6, 10, whatever it is, and you must have washboard abs. We don't care about that at all.
We just want you to take away from today some real simple things that you can do so that you are armed with the knowledge. This might be your motivation. You're armed with the knowledge to make some different choices. And even if you don't, you've got the information, and it's up to you whether you make the choices or not. So should we move on a bit now to Chris, to really, I think the nub of the research was how much aerobic exercise you need to do to really make a difference. And how long, I read a little bit about how long after exercise these benefits are there.
There are varying amounts because the studies went into aerobic exercise compared to sedentary.
We're very serious, we need to smile more today. It's a serious topic.
Aerobic exercise compared to being sedentary. They looked at adding high intense exercise into that of 75% or more of your maximum heart rate. So you don't have to be at your maximum, it could be 75%, and these had additional benefits. But in general, you're looking at, it was 25 minutes, half an hour, somewhere up to an hour, but none of them, and we all, I think, agree that beyond an hour of aerobic exercise a day, the benefits start to drop off.
Yeah. So Lorraine's done hers today, because she did her class with me this morning.
Yeah,
well done,
super.
Lorraine.
So there's some of the research papers go on to saying it's daily exercise, whether it's getting your walking shoes on, going out for a walk, getting out of breath. We often ask people the question, when was the last time you got out of breath?
Yeah.
Really simple things you can add into your day, whether it's you go up and down the stairs a little quicker, when was the last time you got a little bit sweaty, all those kind of things are more important. So the white paper looks at, let's say, the therapeutic end, which is what's the most you can do, or what's the minimum you can do to have the maximum result, whereas we're looking at what's the entry level for you. And if you're currently doing very little exercise, then just get a little sweaty, get out of breath,
and then
get your heart rate up.
In terms of, so 2 things I just want to follow on from this. One is, so if you wear a tracker and you're tracking your heart rate, then you're really, what this means in terms of that, you're looking at sort of somewhere between 100 to 120 beats per minute. That's going to be the sort of ballpark for getting your heart and lungs moving without being, up into your 140, 150, which is where you're kind of running and you're really, really out of breath. So you're thinking about a brisk walk, cycling up and down undulating hills rather than up one massive hill. So that's the thing that you're going for. This also, the second thing I wanted to add is this does kind of fly in the face of HIIT training, doesn't it? There's some research out saying 8 minutes a day of HIIT training is all you need. And perhaps this is suggesting that actually that's not going to give you the maximum benefits.
Not by itself.
No.
The reason why I don't like HIIT training being sold as a method for fitness is that it's a poor long-term strategy for anyone to stay fit and active. I love exercise, and the thought of doing HIIT training every single day for the rest of my life fills me with dread. You can incorporate it maybe twice a week. I'll do maybe HIIT training, one in my gymnastics session in a circuit at the start. I could maybe do a short one in the middle, but around that, I've got too many other important things that have got more bang for my buck than getting out of breath at a rate of knots over 8 minutes.
And they're more enjoyable.
I think the problem which we got with HIIT training is we fell down the rabbit hole of harder is better, and it's not the same as consistency. And again, the reason why we mentioned this at the start about the white paper is it's knowing why we're doing things. When someone is an evidence-based trainers and in the industry, you have to justify everything you do and have rationale behind it. So if we're getting you out of breath and get you tired, this is the reason why. We can't just make it up on the back of a piece of paper thinking that this will be good entertainment for half an hour, 45 minutes, because we can't say to ourselves, honestly, yeah, that was a good session, because it hasn't got any basis behind it. So our starting point is what we're trying to create, what's the best bang for the buck, and how can I disguise this in the workout and make it also applicable and enjoyable for that person to do.
That's why we throw balls around in my class in the morning.
Correct.
Whilst hopping.
Correct. But some people have the start at the end, which is I want this to be a hard session.
Yeah.
And then miss out all those elements in between. And then all of a sudden you're working out intensely thinking because you're getting out of breath, it has a benefit, or getting too out of breath. Now, remember earlier I mentioned that exercise can increase these inflammatory markers in your body. High intense exercise over a long term can do that as well. So if your body is, let's say you smoke and you drink excessively and you are sedentary and you live in maybe a polluted area and you eat refined carbohydrates in your diet, and then you add in high intense exercise, that's just another stress on top of your already stressed out body, which you don't currently need. So what would be beneficial for you to do in that situation would be go for a brisk walk, improve your diet, cut down on cigarettes, cut down on the drinking. That'll have a better impact than the exercise itself. So it's all about balancing out the things that are going to help you for your long-term health. And I'll finish up because I've been talking a lot today. I feel a bit strange, really. There was a study in the papers that came out about comparing diet and outcomes of COVID. And I think it was Monday, possibly Friday. And one of those wacky stories that came out about people who are on a plant-based diet had a reduced risk of negative outcomes if you contracted COVID. And
a redued risk of negative outcomes?
Yes, double negative. So they fared better. Because an increased risk of negative outcomes.
No,
reduced risk.
Right.
Reduced risk of negative outcomes.
Oh, negative, sorry, as in not good for you. Sorry, you carry on.
They fared better. That's a
much easier way of explaining it.
That's that minute gone. That's where the time just ekes out of this.
Other people might have been having the same conundrum.
Okay. Well, let us know. Let us know.
If you were
come on. Let's crack on.
as
We're
well.
almost done. Done. So they fared better on a plant-based diet than those who I think reported to have a higher protein diet and lower carbohydrate diet. Number one,
were they eating lots of sausages, Chris?
Well, number one, it was all done on questionnaires, which are notoriously inaccurate, and it doesn't show anything other than that if you did eat and have a healthier lifestyle, you would have better outcomes than if you ate poorly and had a sort of reduced activity and more sedentary living. That's really what that study was showing. So you don't look at oh my goodness me, plant-based diet's better than eating meat. No, what that study was showing is that there seems to be a difference in diet and lifestyle factors that affect people for COVID and getting worse outcomes with COVID. So it's got long story short.
That's clear as mud.
It's got long story short. If you get yourself healthy and stay healthier, you've got a good chance of not having a bad outcome when you get COVID. And I know that sounds, people are thinking, hang on a second, you can't say that, because I remember I listened to a person on the radio and she was a little bit wacky, coming from the point of view of she's not going to have a vaccine because, and this is not me saying people who don't want it are good or bad, don't want to go anywhere near that at all, right? But she was saying she doesn't want to have a vaccine, and all she's going to do instead is stay healthy and stay inside, wash her hands, and and that was her mantra. She got ridiculed by the radio host by saying, "I can't believe you think you're immune by staying, by saying you're going to stay healthy and eat better and do exercise." Now, the problem is, the radio host had a point about this woman's nonchalant behaviour or attitude about, I'm going to be immune. You cannot. You can give yourself a fighting chance. Yeah. But this radio host was completely ignorant or unknowing about how you reduce your risk in general for all diseases and illnesses by getting healthier, eating healthy, and being generally, having a healthy lifestyle.
And I think what's important to say, again, we say this a lot, is that we're not talking necessarily about so unachievable, massive overhaul. No. I'm not there, I'm so far behind. No. The whole point is that you could today, right now, put your trainers on and go for a walk around the block. 20 minutes, we said 20 minutes, didn't we?
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
That's what you need.
And if for you, getting your heart rate up and getting sweaty means walking fairly slowly, that's still beneficial to your body. So you can do just that, today. So if you've already done some cardiovascular exercise today and you've already sort of got sweaty, we're not talking because you stood out in the sun, because you actually moved your body, brilliant, you've done it already, If you haven't, put on a pair of smart, walking sandals, trainers, doesn't have to be trainers, and just go. I always say to my clients, could you walk to a shop to buy something for your tea? Go and walk and buy yourself a packet of popcorn. It's little things like that, and that is what you could do today. And you don't have to be super fit. That's all you need to do. And the research shows that I think it's 3 hours after your activity, your body is now working to kind of cleanse and boost your immune system. After that, it just returns to the way it was before. But if you think about that, just by walking at that speed for 20 minutes, you've got 3 hours of immune boosting power afterwards. And it's really important. What we're saying is you don't want to do it really. You don't want to go run a marathon. You don't want to walk for 2 hours. You don't want to walk or run for 3 hours. That's kind of almost tips you over to the other side. This is very specific. 20 minutes, 75% of your kind of maximum. That's what you can do today to make a difference. You don't need to find a weight. You don't need to eat dragon fruit. You don't need to go and jump up and down on one foot. There are all other benefits. We're talking very specifically about the kind of exercise that boosts your immune system and helps you reduce inflammation in your body.
And let's hope that we use this energy and momentum from the last 14, 15 months for a benefit. And the benefit is a wake-up call for most people.
This is Chris's sermon, Wednesday sermon.
For most people about their health and their fitness. Well, mainly health, but fitness too. And a lot of people have hidden behind the fact that there's a big monster outside that we don't know about, and it's suddenly come and it's invaded us, and we've got to hide away and maybe, and keep our distance and jump out the way of runners, and, you mustn't touch surfaces. Yeah, that probably is a benefit to a lot of that, but the issue isn't COVID. The issue is how your body responds to COVID. Yes, we don't know how it responds to everybody's body.
There are other factors here in terms of load and viral load,
But what we do know, and we've always known, is how your body responds to inflammation and pro-inflammatory responses and anti-inflammatory responses, and the yin and the yang between these two. And when you go into hospital, the medication you have is they're trying to reduce the inflammatory response to the illness that you've currently got. So once you have COVID, it's the first part. The knock-on effect is your body almost overreacting to what's currently happened, and that's the thing which is not new. We've always known this. I've got friends who have been treating people with COVID, and they've said we're getting the same people in. They tend to be a sort of lifestyle. Maybe they're slightly more obese. That's calmed down now because maybe they've been jabbed. And we're not blaming people, but you can do something to reduce your chance of getting ill. Reduce. Once you get COVID or get ill, you can't do anything. You cannot train yourself out of a cold or a bug once it's in you. You can't do anything about that. But what you can do is give your body a fighting chance now by doing the thing we talked about earlier, which is just get on your shoes and your trainers and just go for a walk.
You could even go barefoot if you wanted.
Just drink a little less. Maybe try and smoke a little less. Look at those things, and if this has scared you over the last 15 months, use that turn it round and use it as something to empower you by saying, you know what, it's been a wake-up call that maybe I need to just look at my health a little bit and improve that, taking small steps and try to get myself healthier in all areas, not just to help prevent getting too ill from COVID, but from all things, whether it's stroke, heart disease, cancers, even Alzheimer's as well.
And I just want to add to that, not that I want to have the last word, you can have the last word. I just want to add to that as well. Yes, we know, we're not doctors. We've read the white paper. We do know our research on inflammation and nutrition and what exercise helps to keep bodies healthier. That's what we know. We also know that there are lots of different variants of COVID. There are lots of different things we don't know about it in terms of viral load, in terms of exposure. So that we can't mitigate against. But what this is about is helping your body have a fighting chance against it, even if you do get a massive dose. The other thing that's really, really important, and I think a lot of people maybe haven't been to the gym, they're nervous, they haven't done any exercise for a long period of time, and they're really just kind of nervous that they think it's too late, they can't jump in now. What we're trying to say is it's just some really simple things that you can do that are so simple. Don't be fooled by the people on Instagram or the news or pictures of people in gyms that's the only way. It really, really isn't. For the immune boosting benefits of exercise, it literally is. Get your heart rate up to the point that you can still hold a conversation, but you are feeling warm. Maybe you need to take a layer of clothing off, and 20 to 30 minutes, that's it.
So just to add on to that, if you think, okay, well, I don't know where to start. What can I do? First of all, we buy our book. It's the first thing for your diet. If your diet is terrible and you think,
we'll pop it in our stories.
Yeah, if you think do I want to go high carb? So I want to do a low carb now, or high carb, or maybe go vegan or plant based. You've got to improve your diet. That's what matters. First thing, and then number two, you just play the long game. Some small, simple steps to slowly building some habits, and then feel again, like I mentioned earlier, try and empower yourself with the knowledge that you're trying to improve your current status of health to deal with.
Motivation isn't going to come and find you, by the way. You need to make a decision to incorporate those little habits on a daily basis. You know, we can't do that for you. We can tell you why it's important, but actually you need to just set yourself a timer, put the trainers by the door, whatever works for you, and just go out and do it. And know in your head every day, right, I always say to myself, my brain needs this more than my body.
Yeah, so it's not a case of trying to, we call it, you can't outrun a bad diet and you can't outrun a bad lifestyle. It's absolutely true. It's about looking at yourself and thinking, yep, I'll make some small changes, but I know over time things will be improving. So hopefully that's made some sense. Sorry to get a little bit of science and techie on you, but unfortunately some of these topics have to hit you with some of these, more facts that we have. And there's loads of research in this white paper on different topics. If you'd be interested in it,
if you want to see more about it.
So we can send you some information.
Yeah, we can send you info.
It starts off with talks about inflammation, and then there's several studies talking about interventions they have, such as aerobic exercise, high intensity exercise, replacing sedentary lifestyles with slight movement, and then dietary changes. So all these are in that paper as well.
I'll tell you what we're going to get you to do. It's going to be your little job is to really write down the bullet points from that white paper so that we can share it.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
Just give me some homework there so we can share it with you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for those of you who joined us today. Thank you, those of you joining us on catch up on the recording. And we'll see you next week. Don't forget, if you're still watching, to sign up for Walk Epping if you're looking for a little habit.
Yeah.
That's perfect. So next week, 12th to the 18th of June is Walk Epping. If you go to our website, fit-school.co.uk/Walk Epping, you can sign up there and get all the information.
Okay, take care.
Thanks all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.